Ever had me seek leadership? You know that my heart cringes not just for our world today, but particularly for tomorrow. My passion for raising authentic and visionary leaders is undeniable in all that I do. I remember 2 years ago when I first spoke about the concept of my book, The Leadership Guardian, with one of my mentors. She asked, "What do you want people to feel after reading the book?" My answer was very clear. I want the readers to be sober, become more aware of their awesomeness, and be ignited for 360 degrees transformation in every area of their life. The reviews from the independent readers of the Leadership Guardian has been overwhelming. The Leadership Guardian is truly a transformational movement for those who are tired of mediocrity and are ready to lead a 360-degree transformation in their lives. While I cannot wait for this book to grace your shelf, I most importantly cannot wait for the Leadership Guardian to grace your heart. Let me look forward to it.
Hello, super leaders. Thank you for joining us again on Leadership Chat with Top Business Leaders. My name is Kemi Ogunkoya. I'm a leadership development strategist, management consultant, and author of The Leadership Guardian. And I equip business leaders to develop the right competence to perform effectively in their current roles and seamlessly take on higher positions. And it is nice to have you here once again. The Leadership Chat with Top Business Leaders is a 12-week virtual event that holds every Saturday between 7 p.m. and 7:45 p.m. West African time and runs through the 15th of May through the 31st of July. And this series focuses around elements of the DOZEN model, a leadership framework that I developed, which consists of 12 key elements for effective and visionary leadership. And they include clarity, connection, character, confidence, consequence, community, consideration, critical thinking, communication, competence, commitment, and consistency. And every week I bring you top leaders over the 12 weeks to talk about each element and how you can interact with them for your personal and professional growth. And my guest on the show this week is Vikram Ahuja, and we shall examine leadership and confidence, the domino effect of a leader's confidence on business growth. And I have no doubt that this will be yet another amazing and transformational event. So let's meet Vikram. Vikram Ahuja is a serial entrepreneur and currently runs Talent 500. He works with some of the world's leading organizations and help them build high impact remote teams with good talent. He's very excited about building for a future of work where he can democratize access to opportunities and help talented professionals work best with companies like Airbnb, Pepsi, Nike, and quite a lot of organizations. He's also the founder of Beyond Travel, Asia's largest platform for expert-led tours in 50 countries and counting, and does everything from bookings, to adventures for like-minded groups. Previously founding partner at Chiron Global Accelerator, now Techstar India, enabling global Fortune 100 industry leaders to work closely with startups. He has also co-founded and led key functions for quite a couple of startups and businesses. Actor, writer, and director in both theater and film, with multiple award-winning short films and theater production under his belt. He has also competed and performed Latin dance competitively on a global stage, and he's just simply amazing. So, without wasting any more of your time, I am really happy and excited to bring on Vikram. All right. So, hi, Vikram. How are you?
Hi, Kemi. I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much. It's great to have you on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So, Vikram, we're going to be talking about leadership and confidence, the domino effect of a leader's confidence on business results, business growth. Now, getting right into this, Vikram, I would like to talk about the place of confidence in business. You're a serial entrepreneur with lots of really, really amazing, businesses, profitable businesses, and progressive businesses, if I may say. What exactly does confidence mean to a business leader? And why should we even care about it?
I think confidence lies at the heart of being an effective leader. Confidence really is the foundation of everything needed for leading a company. And I think in many ways, if you think about what self-confidence is, it's having the ability to be truly believing in everything that you. So I'm hearing an echo, Kemi. I'm not sure if it's on my
Okay.
side or on your side.
Okay. Let me try and fix that, but then we can go on. Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi, I can hear you
Vikram.
now. Yes. Hello.
Yeah, Vikram, is it better now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you,
Okay, all
and I
right.
can hear myself
I
as
think
well.
the
So
echo
there's
is
still a bit of an echo.
okay. Okay. I think Dominic says it's better now.
Okay. Yeah,
All
this
right.
is better. Well,
Okay. All right.
yeah. So as I was saying, Kemi, I think confidence is really all about having the belief that what you are doing and believe in is true, and it really is at the foundation of everything that you do. Again, sorry, Kemi, there's a big echo, so I keep hearing myself.
Echo.
I don't know if that's on my
Oh, okay. So
side.
do you want to use or do you want to try it without the earpiece?
You want me to take it out? Yeah, sure.
Yes. Let's see if it gets better.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, and then
Okay, we'll probably have to use the earpiece now. Or do you have the page? Okay, all right, guys. So I think we have to, you know, work on the echo. So let's see. Vikram, I'm gonna bring you on again. So let's see if this gets better. Okay.
weird.
Okay, so I think it's from your end. So your audio is muted now, so I can't hear you.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
No, I can't hear
Yeah,
you
but
for some
there's
reason now.
still. Okay.
It's funny, and when we
Why?
did the little tech rehearsal, it was working fine, but I can't seem to
Yeah,
hear
it
you
was it
right
was
now.
working fine. Let me. Okay, so can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, all right. And I think the echo is also gone.
Yay! Hooray!
All right. So sorry
Okay.
about that.
Yeah, no
Sorry
worries.
about that, guys. All right. So let's shoot.
Perfect. So, everything about confidence and leadership. So in my opinion, confidence is really the foundation of leadership. If you're lacking in confidence, you're lacking in influence. And so much about being a leader today is being able to communicate a vision, a sense of purpose, and a sense of intent to your teams. And it's about getting an entire organization to believe the vision that you have in the direction that they need to go to. And if that sense of purpose or that sense of confidence is missing, if there's self-doubt, if you can't trust yourself or have faith in yourself and the decisions that you're making, then how do you convince others to? At the core of it, I think being a leader is all about making the hard decisions. And as a leader, it's very important to have the confidence that, or to have the faith in knowing that the decisions that you're making is correct and true. And, in retrospect, some of those decisions may turn out to be things that could have been done differently. But in the moment, I think it's all about sharing a sense of belief that your team can align themselves with. And really, I think, today as leaders, we're dealing with very lonely jobs. We're by ourselves. People expect us to have all the answers, and oftentimes we don't. But what we do have is, like I mentioned earlier, a sense of passion, a sense of purpose, and the belief that things need to happen a certain way. And it's your job as a leader to make sure that your organization knows that you have the vision, which is not to say that you're not open to feedback or you're not open to changing your mind or to trusting and delegating those around you. But it's what it means is really to have that sense of conviction, to know that we're going in a certain direction, that you're taking everyone else along with you.
That's really amazing, Vikram. And I love the fact that you talk about the place of communication and being able to take people along with you. Now, when we talk about the place of confidence, because there's a place of what is being projected, and then there's also the place of what people are able to detect, based on what they see. Now, how are leaders able to ensure that level of, balance, to ensure that what they project is the same thing with what their constituents, their followers, their employees, whatever expression of leadership also get back from them?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a saying which goes something like, it is the eyes that looks, but it is the mind that sees. And oftentimes, when we talk about confidence, there's a lot of people think of confidence as being, fake it till you make it, or really sort of go out there and talk about things before necessarily having the right set of reasons for why people should believe you. I think the sense of balance comes from the fact that as a leader, our job is to communicate a vision, and our job is to take hard decisions. And oftentimes that vision is based on our own experiences as leaders. And many times it's shaped by the collective experiences of the team around us. So as a leader, our job is to know that we need to have an open ear to seek feedback when required, but then once all the information is available to us, make the decisions that the organization needs to hear or needs to know in order to have a sense of purpose or a sense of goal or a sense of objective to know where we're headed. The balance really here is in coming across as someone who is confident and yet open, coming across as someone who is fearless and yet is cautious, and coming across as someone who is ambitious but at the same time trusting of their colleagues and the decisions that they make together as a collective.
Wow. So that's a fine expression of the balance, because there are definitely so many sides to it. Now, when it comes to confidence or the projection of confidence, a lot of leaders struggle, right? And there are quite a number of things that a leader would intend to communicate or would intend to express, right? So to that end, what would you consider as some of the challenges that leaders may have to deal with when it comes to the projection of confidence?
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, being a leader is an extremely lonely job, and the saying goes, "It's lonely at the top." You're by yourself. Oftentimes, you're making decisions without having access to full information, and you need to move quick. You take all the blame if things don't work out, and it's your job to pass on the credit to everyone else if things do work out. So a big part of the challenge that a leader faces is knowing when to seek feedback and when to define a very clear goal and ambition that the team needs to work towards. And often there's an interplay between the two, which is it's a good healthy mix of setting a goal and a vision, but at the same time ensuring that you have the framework and structure to seek feedback from your teams, and that you're open to changing course if required. True leaders, I believe, are fearless in the sense that they are not crippled by fear of losing their job, losing their reputation, of trying to save face, or having all the answers. A true leader is fearless in the point that they know where they need to get to, and they will get there and take everyone along with them. And even if that means that there will be failures on the way, right? And I think the ability to accept failures as being part of the journey is part of the confidence that a leader gets, which is, I might try 5 times and I might fail 4 of those times, but the one time that I get it right will take me exactly where I need to get to.
Fantastic. So, you talk about the fact that leaders have to be fearless, and I'm not doubting that in any form. But then, how did they get to that point of fearlessness? Because we have been able to establish the fact that we wear a lot of hats as leaders. You're constantly making tough decisions. Sometimes you fail, and sometimes you struggle, right? There seems to be those highs and low moments, a lot of twists and turns. How exactly do leaders get to that point of comfort where they're able to develop a higher sense of confidence in what they do?
That's a great question. And I think the answer to that is that it's not easy. There's no silver bullet. Very often today, you'll hear of leaders that are burning out and are stressed and going to all extreme levels of trying to balance out the expectations that they have to shoulder from investors and clients and their own teams and colleagues and so on. So it's an extremely difficult job. In my experience, the best way to get there, is by building a network of peers and mentors and advisors that you can tap into. And these are hopefully people who've been there, done that, or share some sort of common experience as you. And oftentimes it's not so much as being told what to do, but just having the comfort of knowing that all the challenges that you're going through, all the uncertainties and the questions that you're asking yourself is normal. Everyone's been through that journey. Even the best leaders in the world have moments of uncertainty and self-doubt. So I think a network of mentors and advisors is reassuring. And for a leader, it's someone that you can actually speak to, especially given that your day-to-day jobs are so lonely and there's so much of highs and lows. So that's number one. The second thing I think is developing a sense of self-awareness. And as leaders, we're out there projecting so much of confidence, and we're talking, in so many ways about everything that we need to do. And along with that comes this temptation to project ourselves as extremely strong individuals that are corrected every time. But I think having a sense of self-awareness can allow us to realize what we're good at and where we need help. And that's where, the aspect of being confident about your abilities and having the trust in your teams comes through as well. The third part of it, I think, is about really sort of building balance in your life, between your work life, between your personal life, between just times that you have in your day to sort of stop and think. And in my experience, I've seen meditation, mindfulness. These are all practices that I've used, ensuring that I'm fit and healthy. I make sure that I remain physically healthy, and I work out, and I prioritize that, because I realize that if I'm going to be healthy, both mind and body, then I'm the most productive to lead my organization, and it gives me confidence knowing that I'm feeling and thinking the best that I can. So in my experience, these are the three things that I think are critical for a leader to start building towards a sense of self-confidence or fearlessness.
Fantastic, Vikram. And I think self-awareness, just cannot be overemphasized really when we have conversations with leaders. Now, we have focused the conversation around confidence on the part of the leader. Now, it's also important that the leader is able to project a level of confidence that help their constituents also become confident in their abilities. How exactly can a leader do that in such a way that they're able to develop some level of consistency in the trust and confidence that their constituents have in them?
No leader flies alone. A leader is only a leader when they have followers. And so therefore, for a leader to be successful, it's extremely important for them to have a team that's successful. And for a team to be successful, it's important that everybody in the team feels a sense of purpose and passion and intent in the direction that they're going. And so therefore, confidence becomes an extremely important part of building a successful and productive team. In my experience, for a leader to have defined and communicated a vision is extremely critical, because it allows every person on the team to know what their role is, where they're headed, and what is expected of them. The second part of it, I think, is to encourage recognition. Everybody wants to be appreciated. And if you can build a culture that appreciates and recognizes people's hard work, celebrates the small wins, then you're developing a culture where people start to realize that everybody in the team is valued. The third part of it is really just about delegation and empowerment. And often leaders can be tempted to hold on to control within their organizations, but delegation really is the key to building a successful organization. One of my mentors once told me that they think they have been the most successful when they've made themselves redundant in a team. And what that means is everybody on the team is empowered enough to make decisions without this leader being present, and has the confidence that the leader will back them even if these decisions are wrong. And the last part of it really is committing to a culture of learning. And this needs to be something that's all the way from the CEO of the company down to the youngest person in the company, which basically just shows that nobody really knows everything, right? You're always learning. Jeff Bezos famously has a letter that he'd written to his shareholders where he said that we're always on day zero as a company. We're always learning. We're always thinking of what's new, and we're always innovating. And this culture of continuous learning is one way to allow people to think and express themselves without worrying about the fact that they might always need to be right. Sometimes they'll be wrong, and that's completely fine.
Fantastic. So how exactly then are we able to link this level of confidence that the constituents or the employees have? How are we able to tie this to business growth or business results?
Well, I think ultimately,
I'm sorry to cut you short really on that, because for some it's about, I hear you that I have to develop the level of confidence of my team, but how does this tie to the bottom line, right?
Yeah, and look, I think confidence is, it's not something that can be quantified. There's no way to measure how confident your team or your employees or you yourself are. I think, the ultimate measure of confidence comes out in a few different ways. It comes out in intangibles that effectively define how successful your company is. It comes out in how quickly you make decisions. It comes out in how much trust there exists between the management and its constituents, and the other way around. It comes out in how clearly you communicate and how open your team thinks they can share feedback, not just with their colleagues and peers, but with their seniors and bosses as well. It comes out with having the ability to be clear, having goals and milestones be well defined, and going, successfully marching forward in that direction. And there's a couple of ways to measure all of this, right? One is obviously, as a company, are you actually performing to your goals? Two is in terms of how valued do people feel, your employees? What is your sort of retention number? Are you losing people? It's often said that people don't quit a job, because of money or anything else, but they quit a job because they don't believe in their management, right? And a lot of that comes down to having a management that is confident and trusting of the responsibilities that they delegate down to you. So at the core of it, a happy, productive team is measured by how well you can hold them together and how productive they are, and having the confidence, both as management as employees, will ultimately, showcase the results in these sort of metrics.
Absolutely, Vikram. And thank you very much for tying that together so nicely. Now, the next question is this, Vikram. And, I'd like you to share from your own personal experiences how you have been able to, leverage confidence, even at some of the most difficult times, to ensure that you're able to keep your business moving, and then, you're able to develop a sustainable business.
No better time to talk about the challenges that we've all faced as leaders than what's happened over the last year and a half. And if you look at what the pandemic has done to all of our businesses, we've all faced moments of incredible uncertainty. We've faced losses of business and revenues, and in some very unfortunate cases, of course, personal tragedies that have come in way as well. From my own experience, I would say the last 2 years have been incredibly tough as a business leader, as an entrepreneur, as a friend, as a colleague, just to see the level of impact it's had on everyone around us. But at the same time, we have a business to run, we have commitments to keep. In my experience, one of the biggest learnings that I've had, and especially with confidence, is, balancing out the well-being of my teams along with the priorities of my customers. We've had cases where we've gone back to customers and said, look, we're going through an incredibly hard time. A lot of people have been out sick, and COVID has impacted people and their families. But I can promise you that in 30 days, whatever needs to be turned around, whatever deadlines or deliverables were due to you, we will meet that. And that comes partly from me having the confidence that I have a team that believes in what we're doing, and people will stand up for each other. And if someone is down and out, then we will ensure that we've got each other's back, and we'll work through whatever needs to be done to get there. And part of this really is, ensuring that as a leader, you can be empathetic, you can be responsive to a situation, but at the same time, you clearly define what the priorities as an organization are, right? So from my own personal experience, I would say that the last year and a half, if I hadn't had the confidence in myself or my teams or, in everyone that was working together towards a shared vision and what that vision was, I probably would have been very circumspect. I probably would not have been able to go back to both my colleagues as well as my clients with any sort of certainty in terms of what was happening, right? And that would have been devastating for a business that's built on trust. So essentially, for me, it was about, keeping the trust that my customers had in my business, and then, of course, making sure that I trusted my teams to deliver to that promise.
Thank you very much for sharing that. And, there was a word that kept coming up, and it was trust. Okay, because we can't even have a conversation around confidence if we cannot trust each other, right? If first we can't even trust ourselves, let alone trusting our team enough to, be able to do what is right, be able to make decisions. So trust is a very, very important element and a key factor when we talk about, business leadership. Now, when it comes to trust, however, there seems to be a lot of, mistrust for business leaders and also on the part of their constituents. How are we able to ensure that business leaders are able to develop that sense of trust in their constituents, and also they're able to ensure that their constituents can trust them?
Yeah, I mean, $1 million question. And I think trust in a workplace is no different than building trust outside of the workplace with any relationships that we have in our personal lives. A lot of it comes down to clearly defining expectations and agreeing on what certain goals and milestones are to define success, what is expected from the employee, what is expected from the organization, how do we measure success, and making sure that there's a constant channel of communication both ways. It's important that trust is built and not, or rather, let me rephrase that. It's important that trust is earned and not expected. And it's a constant sort of back and forth and a tug of war on giving and getting and sharing. And really, ultimately, I think for any organization to build trust with its employees, it's very important for there to be a culture of feedback, which goes both ways, for you to, for people to be open to learning about what could be better, and for them to share what could be better, and for them to be more productive as employees. So a lot of times organizations, I think, make the mistake of assuming that because someone is working with them, then they have to trust them. And I think that's wrong. I think even an organization needs to earn its trust. And the way it does that is by staying true to its promises and, understanding the expectations of employees and making sure that they can deliver on those, right? And at the same time, for the employees as well, it's about making sure that they have very clear ideas on what they need to be doing and have very clearly defined support structures and feedback mechanisms to get there.
All right. So feedback, right? Feedback, and then establishing the fact that trust has to come from both ways, right? So it's not just going to happen on the part of the employees or the constituents. Neither is it just going to happen on the part of the leader. There has to be some form of balance, to ensure that we're able to earn that level of trust that we expect from our constituents, and just ensure that we have a culture of trust, right?
Absolutely.
Does that capture your thoughts, Vikram?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're absolutely right. That's exactly how it needs to be. I think at the end of it, it comes down, and feedback. What feedback and trust is both based on is communication. And I think communication, comes down to, again, the idea of confidence, which is how open are you to sharing ideas and discussing thoughts and having a possibility of a debate or a disagreement within a workspace, assuming that everybody knows where they need to get to and are aligned towards a common goal.
Fantastic. Now, Vikram, you have such an extensive experience across, a lot of industries. I would like you to share with us some of your strategies, that you have leveraged over the years for effective leadership development. How have you been able to, go across industries? How have you been able to, build these amazing brands and organizations? What would you consider to be some of the strategies for leadership that you have leveraged, or that you are leveraging?
I was just going to say, Kemi, it's always work in progress. It's I think as a leader, you're always learning, and there's always parts of your leadership style that there's needs improvement and has areas to improve. For me personally, things that have worked out for me is, going in with a sense of humility and curiosity. I think one of the best pieces of advice that I received from a very early boss that I worked with was, he said, always hire people who are smarter than you. And you'll never stop learning, and you'll never have a case where if you have a case where you're telling them what to do, then that person is not the right fit for your team. And I've realized that over time, building a team where you can have trust in someone's abilities to deliver on what needs to be done can be incredibly relieving for a leader, where suddenly the burden of having to think through everything is not on your shoulders alone. You're not telling someone what to do, but you're instead learning from them, and you're just supporting them with everything that they need to be successful. The next part of what I've personally seen that's helped me as a leader, I mentioned this earlier as well, is having a network of people who I can look up to and learn from. One of the sayings that they say is, you're a sum total of the company of the 5 people that you keep. And while of course that's probably not true mathematically, but the idea there is when you choose to surround yourself with people who exhibit a certain set of values or experiences, it really sort of takes you to the next level in terms of the expectations and bar that you set for yourself. But at the same time, it just gives you incredible access to knowledge. And I've been very fortunate to be a part of a few networks of entrepreneurs that have been there and done that. In many cases, are open to sharing a lot of their experiences. And, many times it's just so refreshing to hear about the journeys that people have taken. And the last part for me that's been important to develop as a leader is to make sure, and I spoke about this earlier as well, is to make sure that I have a healthy balance between work and outside of work. I've made sure that over the years I cultivate a healthy set of passions and hobbies outside of work. I do a lot of work in the creative arts, whether that's acting or making short films, or just generally doing creative projects with friends and my wife, in fact. And what that allows me to do is it allows me to channel a lot of my energy towards things that I enjoy. And so when I come back to work, I'm refreshed. I can have a fresh perspective, and it just allows me to work better with my colleagues rather than being just absolutely laser focused on one thing and having blind spots along the way. So these are a few things that I think have worked for me.
Great. And to a great extent, they all center around a high level of self-awareness, and emotional intelligence. Because for you to get to that point where you can balance your life outside of work, you need to get to a certain level of awareness of what is most important to you, your interests, your motivation, the things that you're passionate about, and so much more. So I think, emotional intelligence and self-awareness will definitely play a key role, for leaders. All right. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. Now, Vikram, I would like to know, because when we talk about, confidence, there are leaders who at certain points have exhibited great level of confidence. But then, on the journey of leadership, entrepreneurship, or professional advancement, as the case may be, leaders may experience certain setbacks. And for some, unfortunately, they experience situations, or they have experiences that seem to really knock them off their feet, and then it's difficult for them to get back. And, through that, they lose a great level of confidence in their own abilities, and even, what is possible for them and through them. Now, for leaders who experience such setback, how exactly can they get to the point where they can renew or they can improve their level of confidence rather than wallowing in the place of pity, or somewhere that they ordinarily did not want to be?
Yeah, incredibly tough situation to be in. And of course, while I can share, some ideas and thoughts, I think so often it's so dependent on the situation and on the personality of the person. And of course, it's a lot easier said than done. But I think it comes down to a few areas, right? One is, again, like I said, surrounding yourself with a healthy network of peers and colleagues who can give you reassurance and reaffirmations on what your strengths are and why you're an extremely important part of their lives and what works in your favor. Two is, like I mentioned earlier, just building a sense of self-awareness, being able to separate out the results of work and not attaching it to your self-worth, and just really sort of making sure that your own sense of esteem and confidence is independent of the work that you do. And part of that, like I mentioned earlier, is having other things to attach your self of identity to, whether that's a hobby or a passion or an interest or a purpose, and just making sure that it's not just all about work or outcomes or P&L or revenues that you need to show, right? There's a lot more to life than that. And three, I think, is, and I've mentioned this earlier as well, is just having that sense of curiosity to continue to learn. And perhaps, in learning more or learning new things, there is a sense of excitement and renewed energy that can come in and sort of ignite that spark all over again.
And I absolutely agree with you on that, Vikram. Thank you so much for sharing that. And like you rightly stated, it's important that we get to that point where we do not personalize or internalize some of these experiences, and take it as something that has, just come out there to put a dent or to destroy us. So it's important that leaders are able to have time of reflection where we're able to connect to what is most important to us, right? Connect to what is most important to us. And that's going to happen only because you invest time, you invest energy, you invest resources in developing your level of awareness, self-awareness. You spend time developing your level of emotional intelligence, and just spending time developing who you are, right? So I think those are really, really amazing points that you have shared, Vikram. And I'm sure everyone out there is taking notes. And what I always say is that insights without action will always be useless. So you want to take down this insights, you want to take down this notes, and start looking for ways to implement and incorporate these wonderful insights and these wonderful tips into every area of your life. Now, Vikram, we've had such a great and amazing conversation. And, I'm sure for those who still have questions, they will want to know where they can find you online. So where can we find you, Vikram?
Yeah, so they can just email me. My email address is vikram@talent500.co, or I'm on Twitter at Vikram Ahuja27. So that's VIKRAM AHUJA, the number 27.
All right. Thank you very much for that. I'm going home with self-awareness, right? We absolutely cannot exhaust the place of self-awareness because it's a journey that never ends. I say that it's a continuum, right? And we will never get to that point where we exhaust its full spectrum. So as leaders, we have to be in that place where we constantly understand the place of learning, unlearning, relearning, where we're constantly evaluating and reflecting, where we're constantly investing in ourselves, and just spending time to really focus on what is most important to us. I think beyond the work that we do, beyond our businesses, still lies the real us, and it's important that we have to spend some time focusing on developing that self. All right, Vikram, thank you so much. It's been such a great time with you. Thank you for coming on the show, and then we look forward to seeing you soon again.
Thank you, Kemi. You have an excellent week ahead.
All right, thank you. All right, guys, I am sure you absolutely loved, the session today. Insights without action is always going to be useless. So take those insights and run with it. Thank you, everyone who has joined in on the show today. We look forward to another amazing show next week. So be on the lookout. Just turn on your notifications, and then we'll see you next week. All right. So take care and have a wonderful weekend. All right. Stay winning and keep leading. Bye.